big breaking news that has come in. It's not transfer related, but Manchester City have entered into an agreed sanctioned agreement with the Premier League over 22 breaches over kickoff delays over the last 2 seasons, a fine of 2.09 million. Man City has apologized and reminded its players and management team of their responsibilities. So this is trending right now that City have been fined for breaches. A lot of people panicking. Oh my God, they've done a settlement deal. These are 22 new breaches that City have been fined for, essentially delaying the start of kickoff, being late coming out for kickoffs and things like that. They've accepted a £2 million fine. As far as I'm aware, this has nothing to do with the 115 charges and breaches. But what it does go to show is some of the breaches in the 115 are for things like the grass being too long. I remember when people said that's just petty. And I say, well, I wonder how many teams do get fined for breaches every season for things like the grass being too long, kickoff times being delayed. But because it's so minor, we never hear anything about it. We're only hearing about it now because it's part of a big problem at Manchester City. But I've had a lot of comments. I've had about 30 DMs in the opening 15 minutes of the show saying, do you think they're doing a settlement deal? Do you think they're going to get away with it? This has nothing to do, as far as I can read, with the 115 charges. It's 22 new breaches for delaying kickoff times. So, I mean, if you want to add it to the 115, I suppose you're now up to what? 137 charges and breaches.
I'm 137 in the chat right now. Spam that number, 137.
People in the chat, they were never gonna get point deduction for delaying kickoffs, guys. Like, it was never gonna happen. People are like, oh my God, they're gonna settle for everything else. No, that's not the case. This is just I'm sure other clubs get like this,
for me, because it at least shows that the Premier League are willing to charge Man City. They're willing to do this. So this is beautiful. I love it, to be honest with you. So I hope this is the appetizer to a great meal later on this year. It's gonna be beautiful.
Well, it's well, for full disclosure as well. I did this remember when that stat came out about Pogba, where they said he walks around for 30 minutes of the game, and everyone went mental. And I remember saying then, all those years ago, well, can you show us everybody else's walking stats as well, so we can put it into context? What I would say to this journalist, Joe Bray, who's put this out, could you do some investigations to how many other clubs have been sanctioned for this? Because I think we have to be fair to Man City here. They might have done it 22 times. You know, Liverpool might have done it 10. United done it 17. You know, Bournemouth might have done it 25 times. I think we need, as readers of this and digesting this news, some context. A Man City, like, if no one else is doing it and it's just Man City, then fair enough. You can go, hang on, why are they delaying the kickoff? Is that to, make the teams more nervous? Is that to, to what kind of advantage are they looking for? Boxers do it. Normally the A side of a boxing fight will sometimes, I've seen top fighters that the guy does his ring walk, and then the A side fighter might delay his walk by like 10 minutes. So the other guy's standing in the ring, getting cold, like stiffening up a little bit. But yeah, before we start throwing it at them, but it's nothing to do, as far as I can read, with the 115 charges. It's separate charges. City have essentially pleaded guilty to it. £2 million fine coming their way. And as we say, we haven't heard about the case where City sued the Premier League yet. And the big court case starts in November, which we will, of course. But I'm not going to lie, when I first started reading it, I thought, oh, they've settled. I did read it for, they've settled. They've settled. Because that would break the internet. That would genuinely break the internet. But yeah, it's 22.
I know, Terry, you're trying to be fair to them, and like with all the. Me personally, I ain't trying to be fair. Personally, I'm not trying to be fair. I want City to get taken down. So I don't care if Man United were late 500 times. I hope only City get charged. I'm not trying to be fair. Fuck fairness.
So pity. It's
I want Man City to get relegated and liquidated. That's what I want. So
it's so pity from you, bro. You are in the rival, bro. Arsenal are the rival. You are in the rival. You're going into a different era, Hassan, where City, you don't have to worry about Manchester City.
Yeah, basically your summer, you need to start worrying more about West Ham, Hassan, than you do Man City.
Oh, Man United and Chelsea, bro.
Mo, you watched Juventus win 10 league titles in a row.
Yeah,
I've never experienced that ever, so I'm good.
You haven't seen your team win the league title other than once, bro. It's all right.
That's okay. And I still didn't see my rivals win 10 in a row.
Yeah, you have Man United won it 13.
No,
Anyway.
they didn't win 10 in a row. Listen to what I'm saying. You
So
hate
is
that
Juve
what happened
most
to-
as well. So it pained you. And now you want to spread your pain to the whole world by Wantworth.
The only difference is Juventus have seen me win a treble. You have seen Man United win a treble.
Or
and
the
don't-
Juve, man.
That's the
Biggest
problem.
club in
That's
Italy.
the difference. Anyway, this is not an Inter versus Liverpool thing.
It can't because we beat you on the way to the
Well,
Champions League.
like this Man City thing, like just before we go back to Liverpool or move on from this.
Mm.
This thing of Manchester City, the case, this public charge or whatever fine or whatever thing, the Pep Guardiola news, him giving us puzzles about renewing the contract. I'm closer to leaving than staying. I stayed 8 years, and all these things that he keeps saying. It just says one thing. There is something that is happening at Manchester City. Him saying they're going to stay in the same squad unless someone leaves, even though all the fans say we need midfielders. I know a lot of people don't care about this, but I think Man City are a big player in the Premier League. And if things are unstable, it changes the market. It changes the market value of players. It changes how people approach the Premier League, how people approach the seasons. I think it affects Arsenal, it affects Man United, it affects everyone. Everyone. This news is not just delay. It's all what you said. It's like, yeah, City are charged. They're paying. That means maybe in November something will come up. Maybe the case that happened 2 months ago or a month ago will end with some kind of settlement again or something. Some City will say, oh, we have to pay a fine again because we sued the Premier League. It's a big news. It's not as small as, I know that's only delays, but until we know, this is just a public information that yes, Man City will get charged. If they're found guilty, they will pay for it. Just as simple as that. It's people keep saying that the Man City, oh, they're not important. They're not important until they win the league the 5th time. And then you sit here and cry.
I hope they don't, man. I hope they don't. I really don't want them to. The 4-peat already was painful. I don't need a 5-peat now. 5-peat is taking the piss. So I just don't want that to happen. I really don't. That's why I need Arsenal to sign Moreno and Gyökeres so they can win this league title. So we can get rid of this City crap once for all.
Yeah, whether they, I don't. Obviously, I don't want them to do it. I mean, 4-peat was a record enough. Doing it 5 times on the bounce is crazy. But I do agree with where you're coming from, Mo, in the sense of I'm not writing City off in any capacity. Yes, they haven't won a single preseason game yet. They've lost the first 2, and then they drew. I think they drew today, and they lost on penalties. They haven't got their full team there though. Nowhere near. Some of the players on that pitch probably won't touch ball for City ever again. They've signed Savio, but that deal was done before the season ended. They've signed nobody else new as of yet. And they've not really got rid of anybody. And there's that element of stoutness that potentially could creep in. You've got the cryptic clue from the manager. You've got these overhanging court cases, them suing the Premier League, the breach today, the conversations that are coming out in, the hearings that are happening in November. I think it's really fair to question whether they're going to be at the same level next year, because it does, for the first time in a long time, feel like there could potentially be a mess at City. However, I just can't bring myself to write them off or get excited about the prospect of them dropping off a little bit, because they do have Pep Guardiola as their manager, and they're, typically speaking, such a formidable team, such a brilliant team, such a consistent team, that if you get where I'm coming from, that although if it was any other club going through what they're going through or having a summer like them, I think you could quite easily write them off. But City even dropping off 10%, 15% are still good enough to win most of the trophies that they're in. Does that make sense? So even if the drop, and that's probably why it's like, but I do think
But I think people are scared. I think people are scared to say that if Arsenal do the business that we're going to talk about in a bit, just stay with us. We'll talk about what Arsenal will bring in, and City stay the same. The only factor here is Pep Guardiola. And Mikel Arteta didn't lose to Pep Guardiola last season, and he basically lost to the league by 2 points. People are really scared to say, yeah, we think Arsenal are favorites if they do the business, and Man City don't do any business. Why not?
But depends. But
Why
who
people are
Arsenal
scared?
though? Mo, who though?
Well,
Tell me.
we're talking
who?
about
Give
it.
me
Terry,
names.
in the beginning of the show, he literally put the headlines in front of you in the beginning of the show.
No, I'm not talking about Jokeras because the 8 matters as well. They need that. You know this.
Yeah, they got. You know that they're gonna bring a Fabian Ruiz or a Moreno. You know that. They
Fabian
didn't sell
Ruiz
Emil
was
Smith
good as
Rowe.
well.
Bro, they did. We're gonna talk about this, which is I'm gonna tell you my opinion. We know that they haven't sold Emil Smith Rowe to just go with the same team next season. They're not that stupid. You know that.
No,
They didn't get that
I
money.
agree with you.
Like, come
No,
on.
listen. I actually disagree with Terry's statement. I don't think if City drop off 10%, that they can win the competitions that they're in. I don't think if they drop off 10%, they can win the Premier League because Arsenal exists. It's not because of us. It's because Arsenal exists. Champions League as well. If they drop 10%, you have Real Madrid in there, which is always, of course, going to be the biggest club kind of to face. You know, going to be a problem for everyone. So for me, I think because of Arsenal and the way that they're operating, I agree with Mo actually. But you know what the problem is, Mo? I'm just waiting to see who they sign. That's all I'm waiting for.